We're going to move now on to quotas. And this question is, should some seats in Parliament be reserved for women, ethnic minorities, the disabled and LGBT plus people? Hugo, would you like to start?
Yes, my answer is no. There's several reasons why. One of them is, let's assume this will be quite philosophical. Suddenly England stops being a nice place to live. All of you, I know it's quite catastrophic. All of you black people decide to leave and they go elsewhere to pursue happy careers. And there's only 6 left, one family. Right? And it would seem that with a quota of, say, 5 black people considered black due to their skin colour, there's this quota, everyone except little Billy would be an MP automatically. Isn't that just ridiculous?
I think these quotas would be a bit more flexible than that.
Right.
You could change them if that happened.
Also, that is simply, I mean, that point you just have to flip on its head, because you're claiming at the moment...
You're too serious.
No, you're claiming that quotas will mean that you'll have a disproportionately high representation.
I didn't say that.
Well, that's exactly what you said.
No.
It's exactly what you said.
You misinterpret my words.
I didn't misinterpret your words. It's exactly what you said.
Jay, on the point. All right, okay.
Yeah, I'm
Hugo.
just getting to my point.
Gentlemen,
Being interrupted.
Okay. Okay. So, Joe, should MPs in House of Commons reflect our society directly? Should the House of Commons flow with where the population goes?
Well, of course you can't quite make it line up perfectly. I mean, currently we've got 32% of MPs are women, 45% Labour MPs are women, only 21% of Tory MPs are women.
But that has been increasing.
It has been increasing, but not fast enough. And we can actually hear
it's increased really fast. Like in 1992 it was less than 10%, now it's over 30%. I'd say that's a pretty remarkable increase in 30 years actually.
And following the 2017 election, it's the most diverse parliament ever. There is more women, there is more BAME, there is more disabled, and there is more LGBT+.
And I think the fact that we're proud of that and that you guys are all sounding proud of that suggests that we should continue on that trajectory.
And we should continue to have all women shortlists, which the Labour Party and the Lib Dems have. I don't know if the Greens have them actually, but it's not like they're going to win many seats. Yeah, I think more generally on this, we need to do more to tackle other forms of discrimination. I mean, the fact that it's so much, and again, I'm not necessarily the expert on this, but the fact that if we don't have a parliament that's representative of society, you end up with policies that don't fairly represent groups. So, for example, the universal credit system that the Conservative Party has introduced under Ian Duncan Smith has a system where that payment doesn't go to both adults in a family, it only goes to the male, the father. Okay, so if you've got a woman who's suffering from domestic abuse, it makes it a lot harder for her to leave her husband. So there are very clear examples where government policy, largely created by men for what they think is setting up the perfect family, is harming women in this country. So yes, it's absolutely more important we get more women into Parliament.
How do we do that?
Felicity?
I was just going to say, I think on the direct question of quotas, I think that the amount of progress we've made and how quickly it's been made has shown that we do not need them. We've also made more steps than some other parliaments in actually supporting, certainly women within Parliament. Parliament now has a creche, which I think is an amazing step. We're not quite at New Zealand, where the Speaker of the House holds people's babies while they debate. I'd love to see John Bercow doing that personally. But I do think we have made some real efforts to do it. I think the only thing we have to be careful of is complacency, and I think that is creeping in, especially with Parliament. I feel a lot of people feel like we have succeeded and there is still a way to go.
Yeah, I think that also the whole nature of how politics is conducted in the UK is something which really needs to be, we need to have a look at it, because actually, I think women and minority groups, of course, given the opportunity, will come out, but actually the whole manner of debate and how it is conducted is in the style of sort of public school. It's suited to this white male shouting at each other approach, and I think we really need to think about whether that is the best way to run a democracy.
And the recent reports about sexual harassment in Parliament, obviously not all confirmed, very shadowy still, but a lot of female MPs saying there is a culture of that there, and obviously that is a problem. It's not just about getting women to be MPs, it's about retaining them. And we haven't had many women yet. Harriet Harman is one of the few examples I can think of who have had these long careers in Parliament and taken on that role. You know, we still call the elder statesman an elder statesman. It would be quite nice to have some elder stateswomen.
Just very quickly on the point about how it's currently improving, so we don't need to change things. I mean, the Tory party is 21% women, the Labour Party is 45%. Which ones has all women shortlist? It's the Labour Party. So clearly where it's working best is when you do have these quotas.
Please. Quotas, I think, are fundamentally undemocratic, and I think progress in whatever way should be made organically. Since how is a woman MP to know, is she here because of her merit? Is she here because she fought for her position and got somewhere? Or is she perhaps a token woman?
Well,
And
I wouldn't like to see that.
yes, of course, no one wants to see
And I
that.
think-
being undermined
I
by
think
the
if you want
accusation
women-
of tokenism.
If you want women in politics, get girls interested in politics, and women will appear in politics.
But that's the point. In order
That's
to
it.
get young people of different backgrounds interested in politics, they need to be able to watch television and see female or BAME or LGBT plus or disabled politicians. And on your point about sort of equal opportunity, it comes back to what we talked about earlier about getting more state school kids into good universities. Yeah, if people are going to be disadvantaged throughout their childhood, which BAME people, LGBT people, disabled people, and women are, then you need to help equalise the playing field when it comes to parliamentary selection. It's not fair at the moment.
All right. Does anyone? Colin, did you want to ask a question?
Yes, just the first point about how the political system is too adversarial. We have a politically adversarial system for a reason, so political grievances are aired in Parliament. Theresa May and Jeremy Corbyn aren't going to hold hands across the dispatch box. And it's just on the point that we seem to, like, only women can raise women into politics, and only, like, if you don't black Celtic and another black member of Parliament, that's the only thing that can inspire them to get involved in politics. I think that British society is more empathetic than I realise, and a male MP can listen to his female constituent in a constituency meeting and then raise her views to Parliament. Like, they don't only, like, a white man in Parliament does not only raise white male issues in Parliament. Like, parliamentarians aren't that selfish.
But of course, they only see from their perspective. They're not selfish.
That's
They're
why I
not
have
actively.
constituency meetings.
I think on the local scale that might be true. When somebody's coming to complain about a noise complaint, they can see that across gender lines. It's things in the aggregate, and I think sometimes, again, we can get quite complacent. Rape within marriage in this country was only made legal in the year I was born, 1997. And I think most people would find that quite shocking.
What was?
Rape within marriage
Was made legal?
illegal. That was legal until 1997, and that was because I think it just didn't. When you have a majority male body, it does not occur to them in the same way, because they would think, I would never do that to my wife, I love her. And it's about getting these voices in the aggregate. On the local scale, it can work, but if we had a parliament which was 100% men, women's issues wouldn't be heard in the same way on the macro scale.
No, and diversity is a part. It's a part we have people who represent the country representing Parliament. And it's a very fair point to
And
do.
then why are 21% of Tory MPs women? I mean,
We have two female prime ministers. You haven't had a female leader. It's like, as diversity goes, you're well behind.
Vote Tory, like their gender breakdown in the party does skew differently, and perhaps they need to work on that from the organic level, not necessarily peeling across gender lines, but that's gonna.
Does anyone else? Dan, yes.
Just a question for the panel. Do you believe that it is the government's place to tell people how they should vote by restricting who is allowed to run, or do you think it is the government's place to make incentives and to try and get people more involved and more engaged?
It's not the government who has all women shortlists and things like this. It's parties that choose to do it.
I mean, we're talking
Party
about
that's
quotas.
wanting to be
Well,
in
yeah,
government.
but
I
all
think those
women
things
short.
they're not mutually exclusive. They can work together.
George, did you have a question?
Yeah, well, no, just a comment really. I think my concern is if we adopt this obsession with ethnic minorities, women, LGBT, we're really missing the point, which is that Parliament should surely be more inclusive of a pluralistic conception of society, of people from different careers, different backgrounds, rather than blinkers into these politically correct, fashionable groups in which we're trying to encourage people in. I think it should be more concentrated on local politics, people from rural and urban backgrounds. There's a far richer conception of society than just these minority groups, surely.
Yeah.
Also, there is one parliament just outside of Europe, I think, that reflects exactly the population. It has been tailored to reflect the population, taking into account all possible variables. That parliament is the National Assembly of Tajikistan, and it is not a democratic body. I'll say this as a libertarian. You are from the UK, you don't have a history of totalitarianism, you don't have a history of the state overstepping too much. But please do not allow the state, especially the government, to intervene in the electoral process in any way possible, behind any rhetoric possible. Please, let's keep this.
I think if I could just come in on that a little bit, something I did also write down is that I think perhaps Parliament isn't the body for that, but I think, I mean, I don't know what the Conservative viewpoint is, but certainly within this century we've got to reconceive of what the Lords is. We had the first stage of Lords reform under Labour, but the second stage was never done. It has already been tailored to try and represent people of different religions. I would love to see a Lords which is tailored to be that body of elder statesmen representing regions, religions and races and ethnicities, because I think that would be a better way to do it than Parliament as the deliberative body and then perhaps the Lords as the representative one.
Yeah, if we need to maintain our House of Lords at all.
Oh, I think we need a bicameral legislature because we have such a strong second.
Would anyone else like to come in on quotas at all? Any comments? Yes, sir?
There just might not be a need. If you actually look at the complexion of the House of Commons, it's actually quite representative of the population at large. There's currently the black and minority ethnic population of the UK is roughly 6.7 to 7%, and the black and minority population in the House of Commons, black and minority ethnic MPs, is 4.5%. It's not perfect, but it's getting there. It's been going up considerably in the last two parliaments. You may have a point on women, but there just needs to be more encouragement at the grassroots level for women to get involved in politics. It is not the place of the government to use identitarian, authoritarian measures to get the results they want.
Well, we'll move on. Thank you all for those comments.